Oh.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited for another episode of Aurora Connects.
I am too. And I'm going to do that intro over because they're telling me there was no audio. So I'm just going to let the viewers
Let's keep on going. Yeah.
Welcome to Aurora Connects. This is season 4, episode 2 for Friday, September 17th, 2021. And we are joined by the Stoop Stories Creative Team. I'm Dawn Monique Williams, Associate Artistic Director, and I think the audio cut in right as I was handing it over to you, Josh Costello, Artistic Director.
Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
Here we are again, another episode of Aurora Connects.
Yes, another episode. And I want to remind viewers that we're monitoring the chat, so feel free to chat along with us. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or the Twitch TV. And if you're watching at a later time when we're not live, you know you can email us anytime at connects@auroratheater.org. That is connects@auroratheater.org. We love to hear from you.
And I am so excited to say that we have started our 30th anniversary season, our 2021-2022 season. This is Aurora's 30th birthday. And we are underway with our production of Stoop Stories, which we will be talking about today. And then it's going to be followed up by the world premiere of Father-Daughter by Kate Kerrigan in November. And we are anticipating that that one will have an in-person audience. And I'm so excited for that. We'll have information about our COVID safety protocols available for you. And it's going to be safe and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful play. And then the rest of our season continues in January and through July. There is information about that season on our website, auroratheater.org. And while you are there, you can buy tickets. You can purchase a subscription, which would be amazing to see all the shows. That includes Stoop Stories, which is presented on video. We'll be talking about that as well. And while you are at auroratheater.org, you can also click the donate button at the top right and help support us as we get through this this difficult time. And we're just so excited to be making plays again and sharing them with all of you.
As our viewers might know, I swapped out what used to be our show quote segment for a visual media segment. I just sort of whet their appetite for Stoop Stories. I'm going to play just a small clip of Dale from Until the Flood, which the Goodman Theater in Chicago is streaming now until 2023. So maybe after folks watch Stoop Stories and they want to see a little bit more, they will check out Dale herself in Until the Flood.
I go to first all the time to check on my houses. They know not to mess.
You all will not be able to hear it because the audio patch is broken. Okay, I've switched my microphone, so can you hear me better? Okay.
So much better.
Great.
Oh, I wish we could hear Dale.
Yes. I have a full bootleg of this, and B, it really is free on the Goodman website for over a year. I didn't mention the free part because like I want people to pay to see. I left that free part out.
Dana's saying we can't hear the clip.
They made the young one hit Jesse. And they said, this is for what Darren Wilson did to Michael Brown. Another one said, yeah, hit him again for what Darren Wilson did to Mike. Names they called each other, Mike.
Gosh.
just ran over me and threw his arms around my waist. And they stood there laughing and pointing. Those little black bastards stood there pointing and laughing. And I pushed Jesse away from me and I said, Jesse, you go over there, you hit that nigger back and you keep punching. You keep punching on and on. And he said, no, Daddy, please, Jesse, go over there and hit that nigger back now. And I said it loud enough for everyone to hear me. I don't give a damn who heard me. And Jesse said, nigga, what's that? I don't even know what that is. And I said, damn, those evil, dark people.
Welcome back. Sorry for the technical difficulties, friends, but I'll remind you that you can watch the whole thing through the Goodman's website in Chicago, and it's running until November 2023, I believe. And that's Dale herself in Until the Flood, which is about Michael Brown and the uprising in Ferguson. So Josh, you ready to bring on our friends?
I am so excited to introduce our guests today. Let's bring them in and I will introduce them. So hello, everybody. There we are. So I'm going to go sort of in order on the screen here. This is Elizabeth Carter. And Elizabeth is known to Aurora Theater Company audiences for the many shows she's appeared in as an actor on our stage, including Eureka Day. Elizabeth, you were so wonderful in that show, and I'm sure people remember that quite a bit, but also The Heir Apparent, Wittenberg, Trouble in Mind, and many shows all around the Bay Area. She's also directed all around the Bay Area, and this play is her Aurora directorial debut. Elizabeth is the inaugural SDCF Lloyd Richards New Futures resident artist at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. Congratulations on that, Elizabeth, and thank you for coming on Aurora Connects.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yeah, and then continuing on, we have Regina Evans, who is the costume designer for Stoop Stories. Hi, Regina. Regina. Hey, Regina is a much-loved Bay Area costume designer who is leaving the Bay Area. We are all very sad, but also very glad that we got her in to do a show at Aurora at last before she leaves us. Regina, you are also a playwright and an abolitionist in the fight against child sex trafficking.
Yes, this is
right.
Correct.
Well, thank you for your wonderful design and for being on Aurora Connects.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jonathan Luskin, who is a videographer along with his company Flying Moose Pictures that did the videography for our production. Jonathan writes, produces, and directs for both film and theater. He's worked for SF State, UC Berkeley, and for Industrial Light and Magic, which I didn't know. That's cool. Jonathan, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. It was such a new experience for us to be staging a play to be filmed, and the process was really wonderful thanks to your great efforts.
You guys were great to work with, so that made it all fun for us. So thank you.
All right, and at last, I'm so happy to introduce Jeunée Simon. Jeunée, welcome to the show.
Hi, happy to be here. Hi, y'all.
Jeunée is the actor in Stoop Stories. It is a one-woman show. Jeunée, it was originally performed by Dale Orlando Smith, but for us, it is performed by Jeunée Simon, and she does an incredible job. Jeunée was last heard at Aurora in our audio drama production of The Bluest Eye, and you were so wonderful in that. And she's also appeared all over the Bay Area as an actor and as a director and an intimacy director as well. And our next episode is actually all about intimacy direction. So that'll be a fun one. And she's been seen on stage at Theater First, Cutting Ball, and Magic Theater, among others. Thank you so much for being here, Jeunée.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right. Dawn, before we dive into it, do we want to do a little clip from the show or do we want to save that for later?
Oh, I can whip up that clip really quick. We have two. Do you want me to just surprise you, Josh?
I was thinking the jazz clip might be nice.
Okay. Coming up.
Yeah, just give people a taste of what we're talking about.
A woman is jazz. A tight, taut woman in a red dress, or a sleek, cat-like woman standing long and cool, throwing glances. And she can stick you hard and long or short and sweet. Jazz. And you are dying to hold her tight and play her all night long. Fingers going down her back and up her sides and down again. Jazz. The foxiest, sexiest fuck you will ever come across. The kind of woman who can break your heart. Jazz, pure fucking Jazz is a woman, a lady, a bitch. Jazz.
So that is a little taste of this really incredible play. Elizabeth, will you tell us a little bit about the context of this play and the story that it tells?
Sure. Well, the way that I see it is that Dale's language is so beautiful and poetic and powerful. But the way that I kind of found my entry point into it was to think of how we think about the place that sort of made us, the place that gave us sort of a little bit of our origin story, right? And it's home. And it's all of those things that make us who we are, the people, the flavor. It's all the things that you think about when you leave that place and you think about sort of the textures of who you are and what maybe propelled you either to leave or to stay. And that the journey of this story for me is for our narrator character, which in a lot of ways is Dale, but we also tried to separate a little bit from Dale, is the story for all of us, is like how when we come home, how we reintegrate those places back into ourselves, especially if we have moved and distanced ourselves away from them for a particular reason. And when we come back, when I think about home for me, it's not all of just the joyful things that I remember about home. It's also the things that made it challenging, or it's sort of all the different sort of colors that you run into, or the people that you run into, or the hard things are also the parts that sort of form and shape who you are. And so I was really interested in this journey for our character to go through all of these people and what she sees in the sort of invisible people in this world. Not invisible as in they aren't seen, but the people that we find invisible, right? The folks that are sort of maybe on the fringes, the stories that we wouldn't know unless you lived in that place, right? And that how those threads are all tied back to bringing her back home and reintegrating that into herself so that she can kind of fully own all of those pieces again. And so that was sort of one of the ways that we sort of I approached this piece. And one of the things is that I didn't want to do sort of a trunk show, which was like, hey, everybody, I'm going to play 15 different characters. Woohoo! Here's my hat. Here's my jacket. Now I'm a different person, right? Here's my scarf. I'm a different person. Like, I didn't want to do that. I wasn't interested in that. Because it's really all through the lens of this one character, right? It's how I see these people that I love, these people who are interesting, the person that I observe around the corner on the stoop, the person who's struggling, the person I knew in high school. It's all of these things. And so it was really important for me to like keep it continuous and really allow the actor to do the transformation, to see the skill in that. And also knowing that it is all through that same sort of vessel of person was really, I think, important to me, because that's where the impact is. The other stuff is sort of, to me, a little bit, not any offense to anybody, but it's a little bit like a trick, right? It's a little bit of a dog and pony show of like, I can play all these different characters, but where's the heart in all of those things? And so it was really important for us to like really hold the thread together all the way through.
I would love to ask Jeunée about what it's like to play all those different characters, what the experience of that was like, and how it might have been different given that you were doing it to be filmed than for an in-person audience.
That's a great question. Well, I think the characters and the authenticity and the voices of the characters was what drew me to kind of audition for the role in general. And, I like to challenge myself. So what's the best thing to do coming back from a year and a half from, not actually acting on stage? It's delving into a one-person show that encourages me to play multiple people. But that's what I love. I love being able to create Jerry Nicole Love was, she worked on dialect and accents, and we were talking about oral posture. And as an actor, I love to step into the posture of a character because, oral, physicality, how they move, because then I can get lost in that. And I can have like the truth of who that character is and how they move through the world and how they respond to things. And it becomes less of Jeunée being in the driver's seat, but Al's in the driver's seat. This is how Al moves through the world. So I was really excited to do that. And kind of, there were moments where we did one run and I wasn't in the postures fully, and I was aware of that. Right. And so it was like Jeunée being like, okay, we got to do this. But there were runs where like I sat in how that person sits. And I feel like you just have to do less work. If it's like, okay, I'm just going to put on your clothes, we're just going to move. So that's what I was excited by. And really, with Elizabeth, we got to just figure out like, how do these characters move through? When does the narrator start? When does that happen? When do the characters end? But Jerry Nicole Love was amazing with dialects because there's so many dialects that are handled within the show. And I come from New Jersey, but I don't have a Harlem accent organically, and my New Jersey accent tends to win over sometimes. So it was really fun I'm really glad that Elizabeth and Aurora provided a dialect coach for that. And then I think with regards to filming, it was a whole new world, right? But I think one of the things that was really important is that, for it to be theater, for that, the center, the story, the connection, all of the amazing artistry that was happening, for that to really be, to have its integrity. Mm-hmm. And then for that to be something that Jonathan and his team could be playing with and really figuring out how to center the theatrical experience that was happening. So I'm glad that we really wanted to hone into what makes theater, and then to work with Jonathan's team to figure out how do we translate that to an audience now.
Yeah, and that whole performance is a single take. It was just like a stage production would be. We didn't stop and clean it up. We didn't go back. We didn't end up, we recorded a couple of runs, but we didn't end up mixing them together at all. It was just one straight through performance, and it was incredible. I want to move to Regina next and ask you about this costume. So like Elizabeth was talking about, not wanting it to be a trunk show, which means, if we're not changing costumes, but she is playing all these different characters, the costume that she's wearing becomes really, both really important, but also it could almost be anything. And I'd love to hear you talk about how you settled on this wonderful outfit that she has, and then I'd love to hear about the inside of the jacket a little bit.
Oh, the inside. I think when I was talking to Elizabeth, the power of, we say this often, but there is a deep magic to storytelling that comes from the depths of the earth, that comes from the ocean, what we would call our, Black people would call our ancestral graveyard. Mm-hmm. And in Olokun territory, there are some very deep stories there. And the further you go down into the earth, and further you go down into the Olokun territory to grab a hold of the treasures and the hearts and the wisdom of those stories, it's the darkest is there.
Mhm.
That's where it's dark, but it's also where it's light.
Mhm.
But visually it's dark,
Mhm.
but it holds so much light and joy and sorrow. It holds all of that. And so the suit is just that. You know, it's a manifestation of the darkness that's being held on stage with the telling of the stories. And also, I want to say this too. It is an honor. It is an honor to be able to witness and hear stories such as this that come because you know that they're ancestral. You know they're ancestral. And to come through brown and black bodies out of the body, out of the mouth. It is an honor to be able to hear them and to witness it, and should be held as such.
Mm.
And so, you know, I wanted to make sure to translate that, whether people get it or not, that's the translation of it, right? And so, but I also wanted there to be a manifestation of some brightness as well. So the blue is the ocean, right? It's the wisdom. Mm-hmm. If you look on the shoulder, there's put water and earth on the shoulders as a reminder of strength and power and everything that's and the in between and everything that's mixed all together. And just as a reminder, because we carry so much on our shoulders and on our back. And so I basically, like on the inside, I hid a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be close to her spine, which is our power. Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be close to her heart. I wanted her to be enveloped in all of that love. And so the storyteller was the first point of contact for me in terms of how do I create love for her, and how close is it? I wanted it to be close. I wanted her to be wrapped in that. And so that's why it's on the inside. So, you know, and it doesn't look like anything how I originally envisioned it, because I thought the pieces would be like, I did a New York landscape, and I actually thought the pieces would be like this, like bigger buildings. But my friend, Amara Tabor Smith, she came over to visit, and I was cutting up, and I was telling her, she said, "Oh, this looks like Romare Bearden." And I was like, Romare Bearden did like New York landscapes? And so I cut all the pieces into those pieces of the jacket. They're like this, they're small. I cut them up even more. So I just created a collage. And so when you're thinking about like, because I'm an artist who usually rips. I rip and I tear things and then I create it back. This was like literally like very few times do I cut. But I thought about like, the difference between a tear and a cut. And I'm not quite settled on it, but I know when you're cutting things and you blow it away, right? You can pull it back together to create a closeness of the edges. And so with the tears, you kind of get like ruffled closeness, but with the straight edge cuts, you get a closeness of everything. And so that's kind of why I did that. So the back part is our streets and buildings. And then I did a big tree, which is actually Central Park. And then the tree is actually a house. My shout out to Seneca Village, which was wiped out to build Central Park. A whole village of Black folks wiped out to build Central Park. So I did a blood roof and a blood door. And the steps go down to the streets of New York. And then on one side, I did water and earth. And then the other side, there's all these vivid colors. And those are the people of New York. And now, like looking at it, nobody's going to know that. But that wasn't the first thing in my head. The first thing in my head was like how how does the spirit hold us? Mm-hmm. That was the first thing. And so that's basically how it's very circuitous, but that's how I came to do it. So, yeah. So it's not like on the outside, but I felt like the power needed to be almost hidden, because sometimes power is hidden. And if you think about the history and journey of Black and brown bodies in this land, we have a lot of hidden power, and it's purposeful because it has to be that way. Right. So there's a power to like the hidden, and the divine feminine also moves in a hidden, very deliberate manner as well. So I put all of that into the jacket.
It's amazing that so much meaning is packed into that one article of clothing. And it's quite beautiful. I mean, in the show, you see, the inside of the jacket in glimpses. And then there's a couple of moments where you get to see it a little more fully. But it's so beautiful and so powerful.
Yeah. I told Elizabeth, like, for me, it didn't matter whether it was seen. And she was basically like, oh no, we're going to make sure it's seen. So that was, that was really cool. And Jeunée was like, flash. My whole thing was I wanted her to be comfortable and to feel the spirit. Yeah. But, when you work with beautiful people, they also look after you and make sure that, you're highlighted as well. So that was really cool.
Yeah. And there's just something so powerful about like love on the inside of the jacket. Just, it's a one person show and there's one person on that stage, but they're, whether it came from inside of the jacket or whether it came from looking around at the artists that were designing, like Ariella, Randy, and John, like that, there was a team that was coming together, like that I was, climbing and stepping and was being lifted by, even though it was, just me on stage. So that resonates in terms of the love and the strength to carry me through.
And I really wanted there to be some kind of like talisman. That was intentional from the very beginning when I spoke with Regina, and we totally understood each other very deeply on that front, and it was really important that my care for Jeunée having to like carry this piece and all of these people with them, that there needed to be like something to ground her, to like hold her, and it didn't have to. It was lovely that we could share it and show it, and I wanted to uplift Regina's work, but the purpose of it was in the ritual and in the spirit of the garment was actually the highest purpose.
Yes.
I think we all like understood that, and so and when I saw it, I think I like literally gasped. I was like, it's so beautiful. It's so magical. It's a magic coat. It really is. So, yeah.
Well, let's bring, Dawn, you go.
Well, I was just going to move on to Jonathan, but
okay,
you can't hear me. I've been trying to say comments about the jacket for 5 minutes. It's just a powerful totem. But yes, Jonathan, how does this work that you come in as a videographer and collaborate with the director to sort of make something that is camera ready?
Good question. Let's see where to begin. We try to do no harm. We're like a doctor. That's the first thing. So what I think the first challenge is to turn the conversation away from the practical things, which can predominate, like what does it cost and how long is it going to take and when can we do this? Because everyone needs to know the answers to those things, but they're really not the questions that need to be answered. What needs to be answered is, what's the intent here? On one spectrum, you have a film. On the other spectrum, you have a live performance. And you have this really powerful lens, which can change that. And you have to decide, how are you going to use that powerful technology in that medium? Because inevitably, you are changing. You're going to a different medium. So there will be some change. So how are we going to use that? there's many answers to that. One of the things, we went to rehearsals, and the first thing I noticed was we really needed to both have the intimate moments and then really big physical moments. So we really needed to span that distance. And some of my favorite parts of the film are when we can amplify or at least reflect the emotional moment that the audience would have in there, pulling back on Herman when Herman has a moment of sadness and you see him lost in space. And we're just listening intently to what's going on and trying to reflect that and, not trying to abuse it. Elizabeth said something really great in the editing. She said, this is great. You get to choose to be in the best seat at any time. It's like you have every seat in the house all to yourself every time. It's like, I want to be there. I want to be there. And that's true. We had to, there were times when we sort of listened to the energy of the moment and we maybe enhanced it a little bit. I'm thinking when you're in the chair going back and forth, which character is that? I forget.
Disco Donuts.
Disco Donuts. Yes. Thank you. Disco Donuts. The best thing I could say about the process and what was very gratifying about this was that we were incorporated in it early and consistently as, equal contributors to this. And that's just so important because there's no such thing as just, show up and point the cameras and turn them on. Anybody can expose pixels to light, but if you really want to make a story, you have to work together, just like any other artist that's going on. And what else? We had the opportunity to do it several times, which was good. And Jeunée pulled an extra performance out of her pocket at the last moment, which is the one we used, which was really good. Because I don't think we would have asked for it, but you volunteered it, which is really great.
You were getting it.
Yeah, we were getting it. Yeah. That was really good. Every time we got to the end and I'd walk up to her, it's just shocking to me to see you as sort of a civilian again, because it's like, how can that be the same person? Your characters were just so amazing. I particularly also enjoyed it. I lived in New York and I know a lot of the places she was talking about. So that was really fun for me. What else? Elizabeth, what did you think about filming?
Well, I think it was really great to have such a collaboration. And I felt very much like heard in trying to create something that felt like theater, but that we got to have those intimate close-up moments. And I felt that working with Jonathan, it was wonderful to have someone who was really responsive when I would say oh, but wait a minute, we're going to miss this. And this is really important to me to communicate that this moment is big or this moment is pulled. There's a moment when we see Herman sitting by the newspaper stand, even though it's a table on the plate. And this is something that would be very metaphorical in a theater space, is that we see in the window, there's this globe light in the window, and he's sitting there with his drink and he's talking about Billie Holiday. And I kept thinking every time I saw it, I was like, the light in the window is Billie Holiday. I mean, the light in the window is just Billie Holiday. She's there. And at first we were kind of going back and forth and close up. And I was like, no, we have to see, because it's lit so beautifully. John Tracy's lighting, beautiful set by Randy Wong Westbrook. So there's this magical moment. And we figured out a way with Jonathan to just have this a little bit of light over here to make a composition on screen look really good, so that it really told the same story. And that was really important to me. And so I felt also we did some fun shots from up above that were really important. So there was a lot of collaboration artistically. And I spent many hours in the editing bay, trying to help think about, are we telling the story? Are we catching the moment? Is this the thing that, and I felt like they did a fantastic job. You and Mark did a fantastic job of creating this piece. And then I got to go in and be I got to work with you and collaborate even in that process. So I learned a lot. It was wonderful.
You remind me too. One of the collaborations we got to do was with John Tracy. We don't often get to do that because what looks beautifully lit to the eye doesn't always look beautifully lit to the camera. And you can change what you're doing with lighting without hurting anything. It'll still look like the vision that the director and the lighting director had, but it'll make it more compatible for the camera. And we did get to go in and say, this is, you could help us here, you could help us there. And that really helped us get what was on stage on the camera. So that was very useful.
We did get a question come in from our viewing audience. And of course, Regina, it's about the jacket. And Joel Kaufman is asking, is the jacket sewn like a quilt or glued?
It's glued with, I found this, the super duper like fabric kind of glue thing that I had never ever worked with or used before. When I settled on I had thought about like hand stitching everything when the pieces were going to be like this, so, but when in my crazy head, when I was like, oh no, the pieces are going to be like this. So I researched like this really cool glue and it turned out actually it was pretty good. So like, yeah, I was like this. Like, I am a crazy person. It's like this, like, because some of those pieces are so small, you just have to put like you try to just get a little bit of glue on there, right? And then you can't press too hard because there's a lining and I didn't want it to go through to the jacket. So I'm like this, and I do like one little piece and then I let it dry, and it was a very slow process. And at one point I was like, dang, I should have done the bigger part. But it's not what it was supposed to happen. So
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I just love anytime that we can share with our audience, like how much thought and care and choice goes into each little thing you see on the stage. Everything is something that was discussed in a production meeting, that a designer had one idea and the director had another. Like every little piece of trash in the background by the stoop, every the exact shade of the bricks, like everything there that you see is a choice, and including which camera angle, but also when is she standing, when is she sitting, when is she moving upstage, when is she up on the stairs, when is she down, like all that stuff is are the result of discussions and choices made by the artistic team.
I do have the trailer queued up. It's fresh. We just got the final product like right before. Dana sent it to me right before. So how about I go ahead and roll the trailer?
I love it.
And they continue to drink more deeply, and you think, maybe they did go there. And maybe you are there with them, and the colors come and you drink a little deeper, a little longer, language slows and heightens, and the stoop, it's no longer a stoop. It's no longer a stoop in the South Bronx or Harlem or Little Italy. And if you drink a little deeper, the stoop is a Riviera. A move to the music of each block. I let myself get lost. I ain't afraid, because I know I'll always find my way. I've let myself go to places I've never been, never know about, because I want to know the place, the block, the music, the food, the move, all of it. I lived next door to Langston Hughes. He was a nice man. He would tip his hat and say, "Good morning, Herman," and I would say, "Oh, hello, Mr. Hughes." It was nice. Four kids later and a great-grandmother at 48. And I keep looking at her because I remember back then how much I wanted to be like her. Because she kissed more boys than I ever could, and she could drink and dance and fight, but I knew I didn't want a baby. I knew it if I did, I'd never get off that block or that stoop. Papi, I'm pregnant. And he got cold. Man, he got so cold, man. He said, yo, how do I know it's mine? Like they say, mommy, baby, daddy, maybe. They knew that they were just a New York moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeunée, you're so good. Oh, it's
Thank
so
you.
remarkable.
Thank you. It was a delight. It was a delight. It was it was a lot. And it was like a growth period. You know, we always do things that are like our edges. And I was like, let me just do my growth edge. So I feel like we accomplished a good thing.
And I was dying to work with Jeunée. I've been dying to have like a moment to like, and it just, things come for a reason at a time when they need to be. So
Yeah.
And I've had 3 Black female directors in my life, and 2 of them are on this on this Zoom. So just to, thank you.
Glad to be counted among them and eager to be a distant memory in the long list of Black women that you get to work with.
Yes.
amen.
May have been the first, but no need to be the last. I'm going to take this moment though to plug our post-show discussions. We have one coming up this Sunday at 4, then Saturday, September 25th at 12 noon, and Friday, October 1st at 5 p.m. I know that at least this Sunday, Jeunée and Elizabeth, right, have both agreed to join me. So we will have a deeper dive on the show. Those will not be streamed, friends. So if you want to join those, then you are more than welcome to. You don't have to have seen the show yet. But, so we encourage you, come before, come after. But do go to auroratheater.org, Stoop Stories, and register. Those are going to be in Zoom. So we want you in the Zoom room where it happens. And this weekend, I'll be joined by the director and the star. And then in subsequent post shows, maybe they'll be back. Maybe we'll have some more of this wonderful creative team, or even the folks that you're not hearing from today, like Ariella or John Tracy or Randy.
Yeah, I'm glad that those folks got their names mentioned in this conversation, because they were all so wonderful, and you guys had just such a wonderful chemistry and ensemble feeling all the way through the process, which is, it happens from time to time in the theater that you have that, but it's not every time. And Elizabeth, I'm just so grateful for the way that you led this team and put this team together and created this environment. It felt like a really special one. And I'd love to hear each of you talk about, if you want to share anything about what made this process special and or what makes the production special, because it really did feel like a special one.
I felt like I just want to say thank you to Elizabeth, who trusted me with how I do my art, and also guided me, like, let me know this, okay, this will work. This is this. It was clear. The conversations were clear. And when you have a director that's clear and also trust you, you fly. There's no fear. Am I doing this wrong? Am I, you feel free. And so for me, when I feel free, I do my best work. And I felt like that flowed through, for me, like it felt like it flowed throughout the whole process. And within the process, with everybody, like I felt held, and I'm not exactly sure exactly how to say that, but I think it was solace. And I think as artists, we could be a bit manic, we could be a bit this, we could be a bit that. And, we're learning, we're always growing. And so to have like Solace kind of rule everything and to be soaked in that was really special. But also, when you know what it was, you knew what it was. So it was almost like that mother thing, it's like you knew what it was. And so that was it. And that's really special, so it just was amazing. And I've worked with Jeunée before, so I was like super happy, like to be able to work with her again. And yeah, and it's just with Solace. And for me, it was like, personally, it just was special as I go to New York. This is my last thing. And also it actually might be my last play that I costume, because I want to do a different kind of costuming, and it might not fit into theater. It fit in because of Elizabeth. And so it was okay. But what I do might not fit in other places. And so I have to kind of go with that. But I'm going to New York. This was like my last thing. And so it was just, I see you, Spirit. And then I'm surrounded by like all these beautiful people and, so it was great. It was a really great experience, which I've named the Aurora Factor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Come on, the Aurora Factor.
We'll take that.
Yep. I'm like, hashtag Aurora Factor. Y'all better come get some of this. Y'all better. So, yeah. So those are my thoughts.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so wonderful.
I want to talk more about the Aurora Factor, actually. So the Aurora is really got a great foundation to let the artists do their thing. It's really amazing. Everything is approached with this attitude of just, oh, that's a problem. Look at that. Let's solve it. There's no tension between anything, and everything. Everyone was there. We didn't mention Cameron and Jen and how much support they gave us. I go, like so many theater artists, I go to lots of theaters so I can compare them. And I can say that you guys do really, really well. And if you grade it on a curve for the size of your organization, your budget, you're like the top. Okay. So I don't undervalue that. The fact that you could just go in and let us play, and we didn't have to worry about all the things that you, Josh, and Dawn worry about, I'm sure, a lot. That was really, really good. That was fantastic. So I'm talking about collaborating with the people, but just that substrate of a place you could work was fantastic. Really good. So.
That, the ability to play definitely resonates with me. And I mean, I'm not someone who like tears up in public often, but and so it surprises me sometimes, but I was walking into the theater and I was like, oh yeah, okay, right. This is a big thing. This is emotional. This is like my first time back in a theater. This is my first time like on stage at Aurora. This is a thing. And so there was that element of like people feeling so lucky to be able to like bring their artistic selves and like work in the same space on a project. And just the, Ariella with the sound design and just being so amazing and like collaborative, like we were just like, let's work with each other. Let's play with each other. Let's build something together. And, working with John and his amazing lights. And then also having like a moment like, do you need to go up that stairs? No, this is better for like, let's go here. Let's stay here. Like it was fully a collaboration in the moment. And Randy with that amazing set and everything that was on it that told the story. So it was just an honor to get to be in the same space with artists and to get to do my craft in the midst of other people that were doing their crafts. And so that felt special. And like we were working on something together and we wanted to honor the, the blood that each of us put into it to make something that was better than the sum of its parts. And hopefully that's something that we were able to achieve.
You know, I'm tearing up.
Yeah, y'all got me verklempt. I think that's the key for me is that, Regina, your words just like really struck me, because my whole goal as a theater artist and as a director is to make sure that the creative people in the space like feel that they can create that, because I know I can't hold all of it. I have a vision, and I want people to help me bring that to life, whether that's a color or a texture or an object or whatever it is, or a word or a sound, all of those things. And I just feel like the purpose for me for theater is for all of us to be healed. Mm. And so when we have an experience where we feel fully seen as an artist in our creative force, and the words get to live fully expressed and expanded, like that's healing to me. That feels like purposeful work. And it means that I'm doing my job. If I can hold the container so that everyone can like feel free within it and can play and can bounce off of each other, then I'm doing my job. Right. And that we all walk away saying like, I was better for all the other people in this space. And that's also because honestly, the Aurora and Josh, trusted me. Like I felt trusted in my process. And the thing is, if I feel trusted and I don't have to fight for my vision, right? And people say, yes, I get your vision. Oh, yes, let's say yes, like yes, and then we always joke about it being a theater thing, but it really is true. If you live in the yes, and then the thing becomes more, it just lives bigger, right? And it touches more people. And then maybe someone sees themselves in this moment and can like heal themselves through that moment. And that's really what I want. And so I'm very moved that was the experience that you had, Regina, and that we created this sort of special place that I think can happen. And I want it to happen for more people all the time. I want that to be the norm of how we come into collaborative spaces together, because it's really, really important. So.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Elizabeth. Thank you. And thank you all so much for your wonderful work on this this beautiful, beautiful production, and for coming on our show and talking with us today. We really appreciate each of you so much.
Absolutely. I've been so just bragging on the show so much. I just am such a huge fan of Jeunée, and I'm so thrilled to have her on our stage after doing Bluest Eye. And so the next endeavor will be to, have you all back and have a live audience join us. That would be such a great completion of the circle.
Yeah, can we do another run? Like, I don't know, we could do a live run, like at some point. I'm just putting the bug out there, You
never know. You never know. Well, I think that is going to wrap up our episode of Aurora Connects. Thank you all so much for being our guests. And Dawn,
yes,
let's wrap this up.
Great. I have our advocacy spotlight for the week. Let's see here. Your video is attached to it, Josh. Do you?
Oh, there we go.
Do you have the information?
All right.
There?
Yeah, I do. So Real Food, Real Stories is the organization that we're lifting up. They are democratizing food culture to feed our collective healing and transformation. And they can be found at realfoodrealstories.org. Please check them out. They do amazing work.
They definitely do amazing work. And it's a great organization that focuses on food justice and storytelling, which is super thrilling. And right before I roll the credits, Josh, I am going to do a shout out for a year with Dawn, Aurora's
Oh,
monthly
yes.
reading group. Last season, we did a year with August Wilson. This season, the focus is on all plays written by Black women, plays from the last 60 or 70 years or so. And our next one is on October 4th, and we will be discussing Paradise Blue by Dominique Morisseau. And you can register again by visiting us at auroratheater.org. And we hope to have more folks join. And once you're signed up, even if you can only attend one of the 11, you will get a link that lets you watch back programs that you've missed. So last month we talked about Dale Orlando Smith's Yellow Man, and that we have that recorded so folks can register and get the link.
Yeah, those are such great conversations, Dawn. And Paradise Blue by Dominique Morisseau. Dominique Morisseau also wrote Detroit 67 that we produced a few years back, a wonderful production of that. Also, again, just a reminder that tickets are on sale for Stoop Stories and the rest of our season. Subscriptions are available. If you are not already holding tickets, please go to auroratheater.org and get yourself some tickets. And even if you are, you can go to auroratheater.org and click that donate button at the top right and help us out through this, continuing to be a difficult time. But I'm so proud of this play and so happy to be back into a new season.
Great. Well, thanks again to our guests, and thanks to you all for staying connected. Have a great weekend.